Morning, St. Kitts and Nevis. Welcome to Voices on WinFM 98.9 FM. It is sponsored by TDC, SL Hosfords, and Dreamy Decor. Thank you so much to our sponsors. I'm Elsie Harry, a familiar voice to WinFM. So I am invading the Voices radio program this morning. Thank you to WinFM for the opportunity to do so. I was previously a broadcast journalist here and a program host. I'm an urban and rural planner and a reparations advocate. And here in studio, I am joined by Carla Astefan, who is no stranger, of course, to Kittitian and Nevisian Society. Carla is the chair of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee. She recently completed her master's in reparatory justice. She is an artist and she is an advocate for many causes here in the Federation. Can you greet the people, Carla?
Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis. Good morning, listeners. Okay. Good morning to listeners all over, listeners of WinFM. For those of you who are the old heads, know that the very first voices I was here in the hot seat. So Carla T is back in the house this morning, and we'll see how that goes. Happy Monday.
So I'm going to start and it is a rainy Monday morning here in the Federation. So I guess that means that a lot of you are at your desks and you're able to tune in and have a conversation with us. Today we are going to be speaking about reparatory justice or reparations as it is commonly called. Please feel free to call in with your questions and comments. We do want to have a conversation with you. So I'm a reparations advocate with the Repair Campaign. It is a Caribbean-wide social movement and NGO that supports reparations advocacy in collaboration with the CARICOM Reparations Commission. Carla works here within the Federation with the St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee, and they also collaborate with the CARICOM Reparations Commission. So today we're going to give you some information about the reparations movement that is going on within the Federation. We're going to let you know how you can participate in this movement and some of the strides that have been made in this area. On Saturday, the 7th of February, we hosted a public conversation on reparations. It was at the Kuna Conference Center. It was well attended. Over 40 persons were in attendance. Carla was one of the presenters. Lionel Stevens, he's the co-chair of the Organization of Rastafari in Unity. Honorable, or Her Excellency, Ambassador Neris Dockery, the Secretary General of the St. Kitts and Nevis Local Commission for UNESCO. She was also a presenter, and I presented on Saturday as well. So this is a part of a public education campaign that the Repair Campaign is doing in collaboration with the St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee to have people be more knowledgeable about what is going on in the world of reparations, what reparations means, and we'll get to that in just a minute, as well as, of course, how you can participate. Carla, is there anything you want to begin the conversation with?
It's good that we're having this conversation because I recall at the Prime Minister's independence lecture, a young man stood up and he said he doesn't hear anything about reparations in St. Kitts and Nevis. So I think that's a good, it's good that we're here. It's good that we are going to be, having all of these conversations, because we had the conversation over here at Kuna on Saturday in St. Kitts, and then we'll be going over to Nevis tomorrow.
Yes, on the 10th.
Mm-hmm. So that will be, it's more enlightenment so that persons can know we are actually doing stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so for persons who want to join us in Nevis, it is at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. It is at 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Please RSVP to 760-7807 in order to participate. We would love to see you there, and we would love to cater for you in terms of making sure we have enough seats and enough refreshments, because I always say I don't like events because there are no refreshments. But what it is an in-person event, you know we got you on the refreshments. We'll have refreshments for people who are plant-based or vegan, and of course the meat eaters will be well taken care of as well. So as we speak about reparations, let us speak about what has been happening in the reparations movement locally, regionally, and internationally.
Okay, let me begin with the St. Kitts Nevis National Reparations Committee here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We were formed back in 2020. The then Prime Minister reached out to various persons, various groups. And at the end of the day, those of us who committed, we met, and we have been working over the years. We've held public discussions. We've engaged here at WinFM and other media houses, went on as many different platforms as possible. We had a series of panel discussions on ZIZ where we hoped to enlighten persons about the CARICOM 10-point plan, and I will talk about that a little bit more. We also held African Liberation Day lectures on both islands. Dr. June Suma, who was then the chair of the Permanent Forum for the People of African Descent, PIFBAD, she came here at the end of April 2024, and we had one session here on St. Kitts, another session in Nevis, and she tweaked her lecture, to really show us why reparations is necessary. Okay, and she talked about some of our heroes, Bette Douglas and so on. And over in Nevis, she did her research to find out persons, enslaved people, history, that history she brought to the fore as well. Most recently, in November 2025, we hosted Mr. Stephen Holden, who's the president of the UNIA, that's the United Negro Improvement Fund Association, the organization that was formed by Sir Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and he continues the work of advocacy. It was, of course, we did not have all the pomp and ceremony of when his son came, when Marcus Garvey's son came here a few months earlier. But Stephen Golden is really in the trenches with, connecting with different UNIAs. We would have liked to, I took him around to visit the MIS Hall. I showed him the place where Marcus Garvey would have spoken and so on. And we had a screening. He brought a screening of the Mosiah film, the film Mosiah. It was screened here, and we held it at Shadwell Great House. I do have the PDF, so while we are talking,
okay, excellent.
I will try and find it and share some of the poems here. But because his thing, it is for us to change, even from that early, to repair from that early stage what we have been taught. Because why were we singing London Bridge is falling down?
When we hadn't even seen
lady, my fair lady,
when we hadn't even seen
that sort of thing.
Concept of London Bridge at that age.
Yeah. So Mary had a little lamb, his sheep was white as snow, and all of these he just changed to something that we can relate to, we can learn from, and
as
so on.
African people.
Yes, as people of African descent. So we have been also working, we are in the process of negotiating with a company in England. So we've been talking since, I believe, 2024, early 2024, negotiating on them making a reparatory justice, for want of a better word, gesture, to St. Kitts and Nevis, because that owner owned enslaved persons on St. Kitts. Of course, the reparations is really a state-to-state, where the government is supposed to, put measures in place for us to reach out to England, and that is what the role of CARICOM Reparations Committee. They will be making that step, but each government has to also be prepared to, make an appeal to government, to the state. So it's a state to state. Slavery was a state-sanctioned system, and so we want for the state. But in the meantime, families, institutions, they also they benefited. So this particular company I've been talking to, we reached out and they have been communicating, and we are close to reaching a point, as you know, where we can make public whatever they are going to. You talked about on Saturday some of the presidents, the Trevelyan's, the Gladstones. We've had, I know there's two sisters came to Jamaica from New Zealand. While it is they are of our hue, they're African descendants, they had relatives, their ancestors were also enslavers. And maybe that is for a lot of us here, but it is for those of us who recognize that what we have today, that wealth that we have today originated, that we had that generational wealth. So if companies, even locally and regionally, can recognize that their history is also, that path that they have had an easier path, basically, because of that generational wealth that came from slavery, then that is something that we need to look at. So
yes, and that creates the responsibility to make reparations or to make repair for the harm
that was done.
So
we are not, as I said on Saturday, reparations is not about blaming anybody living currently. It is, it is just trying to right the wrongs of the past, right? And so we continue to advocate on this platform.
Yes, and so what Carla was describing is the fact that reparatory justice can happen at various levels within the society. There can be a government-to-government negotiation, which is one of the tenets that is being worked on from the level of the CARICOM Reparations Commission, for example, where there is a call for reparations from the UK government directly to the CARICOM member states that have suffered harm as a result of colonialism and chattel enslavement, but also at the level of the national reparations committees in the various CARICOM member states. There are also negotiations going on with families and institutions that have benefited from enslavement. For example, in the case of St. Kitts and Nevis, the negotiations going on with the company in England, and in Grenada, they recently wrapped up their negotiations with the Trevelyan's, which were a family in Grenada that benefited from enslavement. And so there is much work to be done, and we all have a responsibility to play in this movement. So now I told you earlier, well, we will come back to the CARICOM Reparations Commission, and we'll also tell you about the CARICOM 10-point plan for reparatory justice, because that is a uniting position for CARICOM member states, areas under which reparatory justice can be paid or advanced to the CARICOM region. But I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the repair campaign, because I am the community organizer for St. Kitts and Nevis with the repair campaign. So as I said previously, the repair campaign is a Caribbean-wide social movement and NGO that advocates for reparatory justice, and it does this by working along with the CARICOM Reparations Commission. Now, the repair campaign, I consider it to be an act of reparatory justice within itself, because it was founded by Dennis O'Brien, who is the founder of Digicel and the head of the Digicel Foundation. And for those of you who know Digicel, you know that it is a telecommunications company primarily. Even my SIM card is Digicel, guys. Most of us have been using Digicel or, other or Flow or other providers. And so we're familiar with Digicel. Now, having spent several decades in the region, Dennis O'Brien has seen firsthand the effects of colonialism and chattel enslavement on our societies. And he had a conversation with the chair of the CARICOM Reparations Commission, Sir Hilary Beckles, and he was invited to participate in the reparatory justice movement in this region. And so he founded the Repair Campaign to support the work of the CARICOM Reparations Commission. Mm-hmm. So one of the first things that the Repair Campaign did in collaboration with the CARICOM Reparations Commission was to send out rapporteurs to the various CARICOM member states to speak with members within the society, grassroots organizations, civil society members, the national reparations, committees. For example, Carla, the St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee.
We met with them.
They met with the rapporteurs, and they were involved in those conversations. And those conversations sought to ask, if you had access to a reparatory justice fund, in what areas could these funds be directed to for the development or the further development of the country? And so these persons were able to give their feedback. And then this feedback was taken back to the University of the West Indies, the CARICOM Reparations Commission, and the Sir Arthur Lewis Center. And the historians and economists there were able to take this information and to create some socio-economic reparatory justice plans for each of the CARICOM member states, so that persons can see a framework for where reparatory justice funds can be directed to. Those plans are in their the stage of being finalized, and with the permission of the national reparations committees in each of the countries, these plans are scheduled to be made public in June 2026. That's this June, so that the public can give feedback on that. So we will take a break now on Voices here at WinFM 98.9 FM. And when we come back, we will continue the conversation, but we hope that there will also be questions and comments from the listeners. We'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust to secure your investment. You need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us.
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind.
You're always safe with us.
Valentine's just got better with Dreamy Florals, located at the Koi Building, Airport Road. This Valentine's, say I love you with our bouquets, balloon arrangements, roses with chocolates, and wine. We've got everything you need to celebrate this Valentine's Day. Visit us at the Koi Building at Airport Road today. Show your love with Dreamy Florals. Shop online at your convenience at stkittsnevisflorist.com. Call us at 766-9189. Place your order now and save big. This Valentine's, shop with Dreamy Florals. We deliver island-wide in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Come, build with us at Hostels Building and Nevis Centers. We don't just sell materials, we help you build your dreams. Whether it's a new home, a renovation, or a DIY project, we're here to make it happen. That's why we say, build with us. From foundation to finish, come to our stores where we have the best in building materials, hardware, tools, paints, expert advice, and more. Whatever you need, you can count on us. So if you're ready to get started, build with us. With Hostels Building and Nevis Centers, you're not just building a structure, you're building a future. Let us help you create something amazing. Dream with us, plan with us, grow with us, build with us. Come build with us at Hostels Building and Nevis Centers today. Build with us at Hostels.
Welcome back to WinFM 98.9 and to Voices. So as we continue with this topic this morning on reparations, I think it would be a good idea for me to explain why reparations is important. So to understand why reparations still matter today, we have to take a step back and look at how Caribbean societies were formed. Our region was shaped by three major historical realities. The near genocide of our indigenous people. You know, when the Europeans arrived here, it's something I share every day on the scenic railway. Sir Thomas Warner was met by the Kalinago chief, Tegraman. And history tells us that Tegraman welcomed him and showed him the ropes, showed them how to survive here. Then you had the French come, Sir Pierre Bellet, Des Nambouk, a couple of years later. And, they saw value in staying here. But Tegraman wasn't happy with all these people coming here. And so he tried to get them off. And instead, he had welcomed them, but they ended up killing him and ended up killing his people, right? Throughout the region, we had a decimation of the indigenous people. Throughout the Americas, we had a decimation of the indigenous peoples who had been living, in these places. So that was the first thing, the genocide of the indigenous people. You had the trafficking of Africans, the trafficking and enslavement of Africans. Africans were living peaceably in Africa. They had their way of life. They had their art. They had their way they spoke. They had their culture. They were taken and brought here, packed like sardines on slave ships to this part of the world. You had the plantation economy, because they were brought here to labor in these fields. Many of our young people today do not see those fields because from 2005 to now, what we see is a landscape covered in bush. So we can't imagine. But it was good to look at Bad Bunny last night. First of all the young people who looked at Bad Bunny last night on the Super Bowl show, you saw the cane fields. So just picture what St. Kitts would have looked like. Thousands and thousands of acres of this cane with people going between them, cutting cane, planting
manually
cane.
with their cutlasses.
Yes.
That's exactly why I'm wearing a cutlass. Actually in my ear today to remind us of that legacy.
So when you're looking, what he brought to life, because I looked at it, I didn't get a chance to look at the Super Bowl last night and the halftime show, but I took the time to look at it and I was pleasantly surprised. He showed our culture. And so the cane fields, this is what our people would have slaved in throughout the region, right? And slaving in those cane fields was not for us. It did not benefit us. It benefited those who owned the plantations, and that money did not stay here. It went off, right? It was sent off. It fueled the wealth in England, in France, in Scotland, in Wales, in all of this, but in the UK, in all of the places where there was enslavement for the Spanish, for the Puerto Ricans, their money went. So we were left just as manufacturers or producers, but nothing was being done to build us, to build our societies. Look at after the abolition of slavery, after they were compensated, many just took their money and run and invested.
And let us stick a pin there to say that at the culmination of enslavement, the former plantation owners, the enslavers, were compensated 20 million.
And I think I have sometimes I forget the exact numbers, but I made sure I wrote it down.
Yes.
For St. Kitts, there were 19,780 enslaved persons who were registered in the book on the registry of enslaved persons. And St. Kitts, the total compensation paid out was 329,393. I actually have somewhere, and I will find it, and share it with you, what that equates in today's money, right? For Nevis, 8,815 enslaved, 151,006 pounds was paid out. So we have those numbers. We understand that our people, the enslaved, were freed. Yes, we worked that additional 4 years. Our ancestors worked that additional 4 years to appease the planters. Imagine, it was supposed to be 4 for those who worked in the houses and 6 for those who toiled in the fields.
Under an apprenticeship system where they said they had to teach
Yeah.
our ancestors how to be free.
Yes.
As if they were not free before they were enslaved.
Yeah. Not only to teach them how to, there was such, but it was really a way to get the planters to get more years to extract. And what I was happy to read about is at least in about 10 estates, I think, Mills's, Estridge, Boreal, some of these along the East Coast there, that people did not go out to work. As I was reading it, the first, there was no work. The first was a Friday to the pair. The Saturday, and then the Monday, they did not show up to work, and all hell broke loose.
Excellent. We will stick up in there because we have a caller.
Mm-hmm.
Caller, you are live on Voices on WinFM 98.9 FM.
Hi, good morning, Elsie.
Hi, good morning.
To you, Carla.
Good morning, Africa.
I was in attendance at the Kuna building on Saturday,
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
and I did raise a very vexing matter at this juncture in our effort to really bring about, like Elsie, you did mention, I am familiar with the Chavilians in Grenada, but Elsie, you did mention about another family that came forward.
The Gladstones in Guyana.
Good. Even though it might seem like a slogan, that's the start. And so the consciences of those who were the perpetrator or descendants of the perpetrators, that's a start.
Yes.
Where my concern lies is that the lack of the unification on another level, because like the reparations and initiative is like, we can agree that is the brainchild of our leaders seeing fit to come together and bring about this. But at this juncture, at this critical juncture, where pressures have been dispersed to us, left, right, and center, east, west, north, and south, and the lack of our diplomacy going at this moment, my question to you, Carla and Elsie, have you thought about advisors going forward? Because we're going to need advisors. You did mention the French and the British, and there were other players on governmental levels. But have you thought about advisors to guide you accordingly? Because the total sum figure, it is enormous. You just disclosed how many persons got paid on Nevis and how many got paid on St. Kitts and others elsewhere in the Caribbean.
That was paid out, and the number of enslaved persons who were registered. So the payment was meant that amount of persons equated to that amount of money.
And then, Elsie, you disclosed down at the Kuna building what the sum would be. And my question to you is that, are you the advisors, have you got advisors to guide you accordingly? Because at this critical moment is like, the sum might be even watered down for whatever reason, and to accept something that is minuscule, if we are not careful with our advisors going there, and sticking to the point that no, this is supposed to be paid out in portions for over a period of time, whatever you might have agreed on, but that is where we are at. No if, not ands, and no buts about it. Because on our government level, we're not seeing the diplomacy, we're not seeing the unity that there ought to be on that level. And here is it now, the brainchild is struggling for that leadership on that level, albeit it's like we are like submerged in the waters, yet we're going to persevere by educating our youth so that they can take this fight forward, because we may not live to see, we might start it, we may not live to see it in our generation, but albeit it has to continue. So those are one or two questions I wish to pose and to ask, because we are at a critical juncture as we speak at this moment on certain levels where we are to be unified as a 15-body member CARICOM going forward, so that the brainchild would be fed properly. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just to answer as to advisors, Africa, there have been different quantifications already put out for what the compensation would look like throughout the region, a total compensation. So you can, if you were to look up, say, the Brattle report for reparations, you could find information on that. There are others who have written, who have done research. As Elsie was saying, the hello, there's feedback. Okay, so there's another caller. Okay.
So we'll take the other first, and then we'll continue our response to Africa and the other caller as well. Caller, good morning. You are live on WinFM 98.9 FM. Thank you for calling.
Thanks for taking our call. Remember your thoughts, Sister Carla. You know, where should we start? We're going to start here. Our enslavement, not their enslavement. Our enslavement, our taking away, it is described, rightly so, as the worst crime against humanity.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Good. Have there been a case in The Hague or anywhere else concerning these crimes? Has there been?
So there was no, in terms of, from the level of CARICOM, there has been no official case filed at the level of the International Court of Justice. But I did see a report that said that the CARICOM Reparations Commission is considering this course of action. So as of today, no, but it is something that they are considering from the level of the CARICOM Reparations Commission.
We heard that. We ask that, you see, because it is important that we do things in order as the victims of all that was taking place, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And there has been no case up to the time. You said it being considered.
Yes.
There has been no case. We are the ones who put reparation, the victims, we who put reparation on the table. And as my brother just said a while ago, when we look at our present state, regionally and beyond, we are not seeing the touchable unison amongst us as a race of people who have been through that. So we are saying, you know, that we need to do things in order so that our reparation will be a reality. The way I see it is that we are pussyfooting. We are pussyfooting with things that we ought to deal with in an orderly manner because we are the victims now. And because we are pussyfooting and they are seeing that we are pussyfooting, that is why this call, it shouldn't even be a call. We shouldn't even have to demand it if we do it right, you know? They are seeing it and they are just laughing at us collectively. We heard about those who are coming forward with their conscience, whatever, and saying blah, blah, but it need to be in a collective way amongst them and those who committed the crime. And I think that a case, whether it is in The Hague or wherever, ought to be the first step. And I think we should take stock and demand, I want to use that word now, demand that case, the worst crime against humanity, be tried. Thereafter, reparation, repatriation, etc. will just be a follow through. It will just be automatic because the case has been tried, and therefore what is to follow will just follow. Because this pussyfooting thing, you know, this pussyfooting thing, our ancestors, look.
Well, Ras Eli, you will be, I'm one of the cases that's going to be brought. I don't know if you're aware, but Jamaica has intensified its legal and diplomatic push for reparations from the United Kingdom, okay? So they are making a formal, they are hoping to make a formal petition to King Charles III. This, you know, they talked about that. I came across those articles. The Jamaica government announced in June of 2025 that it would formally petition King Charles III to refer fundamental issues of law. So they're going to look at the law regarding the slave trade to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. Okay, so they're going to be taking that case to the Privy Council. The petition seeks to use the Judicial Act of 1833, asking the monarch to request that the Privy Council, the highest court of appeal for many Commonwealth nations, determine if forced transport of Africans was legal under the British common law. It is constituted a crime against humanity, and if the British has a legal obligation to pay reparations. So this is a very groundbreaking step, and it moves the issue from political lobbying to a more formal judicial process. So Jamaica, of course, is still a member of the Commonwealth, just like we are. And this could be a precedent for us, if this is successful. But yes, we are pushing for that. Mm-hmm.
That Miguel Leon kind of informed me about it somewhat.
Okay.
And apart from it being a precedent to follow through wherever we are, we ought to do these things collectively.
Yes.
Because as my brother was just saying a while ago, we are seeing in the currently, we are seeing things happening with them and those chucking their.
Hello. The thing is, though, I know we need to do
those still chucking their badness and their whatever, and we are not seeing the unison amongst us, the victims, and we're not seeing the unison that is needed where it was taken from either. We're not seeing the continental unison. Give thanks for the time, blessed Lord.
Thank you. I totally agree that there needs to be a unification of purpose as it relates to the reparations movement, but I also want folks to understand that we cannot wait for the bodies that are responsible to come together to do that. We each have a role to play in the reparations movement. At the individual level of a person, it is our responsibility to raise our level of consciousness, to reconnect with our African identity, to learn our history as it relates to where we came from, where our ancestors came from, Africa, so that we as African people can stand up and say, I am an African person. For me, an African person born in Guyana, for Carla, an African person born in Dominica, both of us residing in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis for many, many years, but our source is Africa. And the minute we begin to go back, have a Sankofa, returning to our African identity, that makes our position on reparations stronger and signals to the leadership of our countries, political or otherwise, that we are serious about this reparations movement, and that at that level they need to make representation on behalf of the voices of the people. But if the people in the countries are divided on whether we should pursue reparations or not, if we don't have this conscious grounding in our identity, it's very hard to have that unification at the basic level, the micro level. So you can imagine how much more difficult it becomes to have unification at that macro level of country and CARICOM, for example. So there is much work for us to be done internally. And for me, with the repair campaign, my work is about public education. For Carla and the St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee, their work is also in public education, but they go a step further to negotiate with families and institutions as much as they can for reparatory justice settlements. We will take a break. Thank you so much to our sponsors, TDC, SL Hosfords, St. Kitts and Nevis Florists. Thank you for sponsoring the program. We will be right back on WinFM 98.9 FM.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
To reply to.
Don't throw those bottles away. Turn them into money today. Vitamalt bottles equal cash in your pocket. It's super easy. Just take those empty Vitamalt bottles to any Cara Brewery distribution truck or any drinks depot in St. Kitts and Nevis. We're keeping our beautiful Twin Island paradise clean. Vitamalt bottles equal cash back. Keep it clean. Keep it green. Vitamalt bottle returns. Your bottles, your cash, your island.
Valentine's just got better with Dreamy Florals, located at the Koi Building, Airport Road. This Valentine's, say I love you with our bouquets, balloon arrangements, roses with chocolates, and wine. We've got everything you need to celebrate this Valentine's Day. Visit us at the Koi Building at Airport Road today. Show your love with Dreamy Florals. Shop online at your convenience at stkitsnevisflorist.com. Call us at 766-9189. Place your order now and save big. This Valentine's, shop with Jimmy Florals. We deliver island-wide in St. Kitts and Nevis.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust to secure your investment. You need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us.
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind.
You're always safe with us.
We are back on winnfm 98.9 FM with the Voices Radio program. Thank you so much to our sponsors, TDC, SL Hosfords, and I made a mistake just before the break. It's actually Dreamy Florals. So thank you to TDC, SL Hosfords, and Dreamy Florals for sponsoring this program. I am Elsie Harry, a community organizer for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis with the Repair Campaign, which is a reparatory justice NGO. And I'm also joined by Carla Astafan, the chair of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee. We have a caller. Caller, you are live. Thank you for calling.
Grand rising, guys.
Hello.
Grand rising to Carla and your host. I just want to lend my support in
Journey.
the information that
Good morning.
the information that you all are sharing. You know,
Yes.
I put a blog on social media last night and I asked, should we keep history alive or should we move on? Now, your host mentioned before the break that we have a lot of work to do, and indeed we do. Because when we look at the youth today, we have information. Information is there. Information is on social media. And we also have distraction. The distraction is there as well. Now, how do we create a balance? How do we make the future, the youth, to become aware of what is at stake? You know, we have a lot of work to do, guys. And it's not going to be easy. Because all that was imposed upon us was by design. And we have to wake up. Our waking up, it has to be global. We have to be a collective, and we have to also be knowledgeable. We have to be knowledgeable of who were before us, and to know that those who were before us, we are connected to them. We are connected by blood, by DNA. What they did to us was, it worked for them, to divide and conquer. And here we are, as a people in the diaspora, we were dropped here, we were dropped off here, there, and everywhere. And we say, well, I am a Kittitian, I'm an Antiguan, I'm a Bayesian. And we still continue with that. We have to decolonize our mind. And, guys, I mean, there are a few out there, Carla. There are a few that is out there. And we have to reach our people. We have to reach the youth. So what are we doing? I mean, what about our schools? I'm not going to even mention the church, because the church, in a way, is keeping us from becoming. Let me repeat this, Carla. The church system is a part of it. Because we are stuck in this book that describes them with their literature and their theology, which is psychology on our minds. And we got to move away from it.
Okay, so that brings me, thanks, Journey. That brings me very naturally to a point that I need to make, and that is reparations is not just about financial compensation. I am of the view that we also need to repair ourselves. Reparations is repairing our mind, And one of the best ways in which we could do that is by educating ourselves. So when we talk about our education system, for instance, we all learn history at school. Some, Elsie said, you learn it in a vacuum, but maybe the way in which it is taught has to change so that we can better relate to the material and understand where we sit when it comes to our history. Okay, so he talked about a while ago so many different aspects, and I'm sitting here and I can think of so many ways in which we need to repair ourselves. All right. So if I, for instance, have always been reading up on Africa, looking at, there's a lot of stuff out there. Today we don't even have to go to the books. It's there on social media, it's there on the internet. You can go and dig for yourself, learn about your African heritage, read books on African heritage, and become steeped in your Africanity, right? Because that is who we are. Like Elsie said, I'm African Dominican Kittitian, right? So who were we? One writer whose work I loved, he said, we have to think of who we were had slavery not occurred. Okay, who were we before? Who would we have been, okay, had slavery not occurred? So with that in mind, you look at everything, whether it's, Christianity, your sexuality, whatever it is, because all of those things have been affected by slavery. We have a legacy, our way in which we eat, our way in which we move, our thinking, all of this has been affected by slavery. If we get back to who we were had slavery not happened, then we have a different perspective. That is part of the repair that needs to happen. Caller?
Good morning, caller. You're live on WinFM.
Good morning, Carlo.
Good morning.
And good morning to the lady, Bill. Carlo, do not let some of these callers like they got a summon. A lot of people trying to get into the show to give their own input. Okay?
Okay.
This is not levitation time. Carlo, look, we need a lot of these governments them across the region to give real support, and that is what we ain't getting. That's why this thing ain't gonna be getting to the youngsters them, and we need to get the young people them involved to understand what it was like with our ancestors coming off the mainland, coming to these islands like sand. The government here, I think, it need to set up a structure where you see this show? We should get in this more often, but not during the day. You could do it in the day, but in the night when people at home, so the message could get to them, and this is the problem. And next thing I want to talk about is that people individually running away with the idea. Oh, man, nothing to do with Africa. I don't want to hear nothing from Africa. And if the message don't send from school, I don't think he can play out well. Have a good morning, and this is Jam Dong. Poor people.
Thank you, Jam Dong. Actually, Jam Dong. Everybody get like about 2 minutes, so we'll look at that. I do believe, though, from my going through social media, there are young people in the region, outside of the region, America. They are conscious of their history. There's a building consciousness.
Yes, the movement is happening. It is not to where we would like it to be, but it has started. And I'm a young person too. So
yeah, so I think if we can channel our young people to look not only at the stuff. I don't wanna judge anybody's stuff that they look at, but every now and again, my daughters tell me, once you look at something, the algorithm starts
showing you more of it,
right? So they themselves can start seeing more of whatever, right? And so they can learn, because I get a lot of stuff coming to me that's related to the sort of content that I look at. So they can do the same. Yes, let's hear from this caller. Good morning, caller.
Hotep.
Hotep.
Reparations. You said it. It's not just about money. It was not that they had their language. It was not what we would have been. We know. We had Timbuktu. We had Benin Empire. Our African heritage is not no make-up story.
Correct.
Where reparation is missing is here. You said something to it. In the region why they continue to laugh at us is because one, the only people on any world stage that speaking a foreign language is us. Our language, not our way of speaking, our languages were beaten out of us. That's how bad word come. Our religion was taken from us. That's how we end up with a white Jesus. Is true. Our wisdom was called make-believe and hearsay. We are not ordinary people, and our people must begin to know that. We are the new beings. We are not those, and there's not no apology. It is a demand. We were the first, we are evidence of human trafficking. If that is wrong, then reparation is a must. But see where we need to begin? We need to begin with us. Our schools cannot continue on the same repressive curriculum while our leaders say, reparation. Why is it that we all speak a foreign language, whether English, French, Spanish, or Dutch? We must begin to restore. The curriculum must be changed. We got to begin to show the world that we are serious. Ain't no money thing, you know, because the money that is a problem too. It is repairing the damage psychologically, mentally, physically that was done to the people, and it must begin with us. The education is not his story. Is our schools must begin to teach African heritage. Our children must learn of the great, actually, who they really are and the reason why we came. We did not come because of no black skin or no strong. We came because there is evidence of our accomplishments. There were evidence of our contributions to civilization. Everything that we had done, we taught the world is why they took us. It was the greatest minds, not dumb people, that were taken. And the recognition must be to the abuse of a people who were kidnapped, human trafficked, subsequently enslaved. No slaves came out of Africa. We must begin with us. And when we get real, the world would recognize it. I'm going to tell you something else too. Abraham Toure said a few days ago, whether you're in a high rise in California or a small village in St. Kitts, you're first African. He said we were left in chains. We left in chains, but we will return in power. I'm almost certain on the 25th of this month, the African Union is putting a case to the world, I think it's the United Nations, demanding reparations. We got to begin here. This ain't a talk shop. If we will, we will show our true colors by beginning
with ourselves. Not going England and begging King Charles and them for going a apology. No. Apologies must be made, whether now or later. Reparation is a must. And repatriation also is a must. The people that did not ask to come, like me, offer me a ticket any day. I know I gone home.
You know, your contributions are always full. And as I'm listening to you, I know we've had decades of talking to each other. And, you know, you are one of those persons who could have been teaching that literature. I remember when you had your bookstore, your little African shop and so on. You know, there was so much that you shared, and you can still share. As I said, you should have been one of those people helping in that repair for our young people. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for making your contribution.
Yes, thank you so much. And also, this brings me to the point of letting people know about what are the 10 points on the CARICOM 10-point plan for reparations, because we keep saying that reparations is not only monetary, it manifests in different forms in an attempt to repair the harm that was done to our society by colonialism and chattel enslavement. So the first action point on the 10-point plan, the CARICOM 10-point plan for reparations, is 1, a full and formal apology. 2, repatriation to Africa for those persons who want repatriation. 3, Indigenous Peoples Development Program. Indigenous peoples meaning the first peoples that inhabited the different spaces that colonialism affected. 4, cultural institutions. 5, addressing the public health crisis in our various countries. 6, illiteracy eradication. 7, African Knowledge Program. 8, psychological rehabilitation. 9, technology transfer. And 10, debt cancellation. So these are the 10 points on the CARICOM 10-point plan for reparations for the victims of enslavement. And so through these 10 points, you can see the various areas where repair needs to be made. Caller, you are live on WinFM.
Yeah, good morning to you guys, and good morning to the listening public.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, reparations by all means, yes, but we had a disaster in the state, Christina disaster, and I don't think to date those victims or those survivors of those, people were even, looked after. We got to look at that too. St. Kitts and Nevis, the small state that we are, we don't have the vast amount of lands like everywhere else. And there's some topics that some people don't want to talk about. And the thing with me, we need to do something different in our little small space. You know what I mean? We can't be moving like some of these other big countries who got the vast amount of lands. Our lands is very important. So our independence. Man, we got this whole thing twisted up. You know what I mean? No matter where you come from, as long as you're a black man, you're African. Some of us don't want to acknowledge that. We don't want to actually acknowledge our heritage and our tradition. In the school systems, right there locally, I went to CSS some years ago, and I can't even remember them teaching us about that Buckley's uprising. Now it's a debate coming up whether it was an uprising or if it was a riot. I mean, we know, no matter what the debate is about those two words, we know the differences between those two words, but does it really matter? The fact of the matter is them slaves that uprised, they had the courage. Now, today, fast forward today, what I'm seeing, we don't have the courage right now. It's just a lot of talk. The Constitution ain't even being, no changes were made with that Constitution that they gave us up to now. They ain't took off a cross off of a T, or added a cross and a T, or take off a dot over an I, or added a dot and an I. In our small space, we should maybe do something different than everywhere else to create our own uniqueness. You know, we was watching the great Super Bowl game yesterday, and big up to the performer, Bad Bunny, a Puerto Rican, who had so much things in the mix yesterday.
Yes, he
the
showed.
Culture, the
He really
tradition,
showed our culture.
our culture,
Yeah.
our tradition.
Mm-hmm.
That same sugarcane man,
Mm-hmm.
the symbolic representation, that sugarcane field that he was in, signifying, it shows our migration.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we know a lot of people from the Federation. We went down to Cuba. We went to Jamaica. We went to Haiti. We went to Dominican Republic. We went to Puerto Rico. And it shows the unity of us as a people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And here we have the President of the United States critiquing this guy like, you know, so much. I don't see how he's so obsessed with this guy.
Anyway.
The man is a renowned world artist. And based on off of the policies and the stuff that's going on in the United States, he chose his craft to address it. And I want to give him some kudos to be courageous to put in that performance on yesterday. And yes, obviously, the St. Kitts Nevis flag was evident in the mix, right?
Yes.
So it shows so much unity, man, and we are yearning for that. That's why he chose to put on that performance. So he did a great job.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you, caller.
Even the man, even language and his birthplace, it was being attacked. But in St. Kitts Nevis, man, first national hero fought for our lands, and now we see where we at right now. Our lands are being given away, and two persons in the Federation, the Prime Minister and the Premier, up to now we can't see whatever deal they're making with that Destiny Project on Nevis. And the guy Johnson himself is saying that he wants the citizens to see. I watched a little clip of a podcast recently, and
okay, caller, thank you. Sorry, because we have just a few more minutes remaining on the program, and we have some things that we need to get through, as well as other people waiting to speak as well. So, do you want to take 30 seconds to wrap up?
He's gone. Yeah. Thank you, caller. The caller brought up so many different... The caller brought up a lot of different points there.
Yes, and just to acknowledge that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis recently made declared the 28th of January, which is the date of the Buckley's Uprising, a national holiday. So from next year, that will be a national holiday. And they also committed to building a monument in the yard where...
a museum and monument.
A museum and monument in the plantation, in the yard where the Buckley's uprising took place, well, where they gathered finally following the uprising. And so we have to take a break, but we just want to say thank you so much to our sponsors, TDC SL Hosfords and Dreamy Florals, for sponsoring the Voices Radio program. I'm Elsie Harry, and I'm here with Carla Astafan, and we'll be right back.
Found the Sound 98.9 FM.
Don't throw those bottles away. Turn them into money today. Vitamalt bottles equal cash in your pocket. It's super easy. Just take those empty Vitamalt bottles to any Cara Brewery distribution truck or any drinks depot in St. Kitts and Nevis. We're keeping our beautiful Twin Island paradise clean. Vitamalt bottles equal cash back. Keep it clean, keep it green. Vitamalt bottle returns. Your bottles, your cash, your island.
Valentine's just got better with Dreamy Florals, located at the Koi Building, Airport Road. This Valentine's, say I love you with our bouquets, balloon arrangements, roses with chocolates, and wine. We've got everything you need to celebrate this Valentine's Day. Visit us at the Koi Building at Airport Road today. Show your love with Dreamy Florals. Shop online at your convenience at stkittsnevisflorist.com. Call us at 766-9189. Place your order now and save big. This Valentine's, shop with Jimmy Florals. We deliver island-wide in St. Kitts and Nevis.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust to secure your investment. You need
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
We are back on Voices on WinFM 98.9 FM. Thank you to our sponsors, TDC, SL Hosfords, and Dreamy Florals for sponsoring this program. I'm Elsie Harry, community organizer with the Repair Campaign here in St. Kitts and Nevis. The Repair Campaign is a reparatory justice NGO here in the Caribbean, and I am joined by Carla Astafan, the chair of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee. Now, I wanted to speak a little bit more about the Super Bowl because persons have been talking about Bad Bunny's performance, which I saw as well, and I was very pleased about because he did speak on, his performance did showcase some of the legacies of colonialism in terms of the symbolism with the cane fields and the different flags of the different immigrants who helped to build the United States of America. But one of the performances that was symbolic for me as well was the person who opened the Super Bowl, which was Coco Jones. And the outfit that she was wearing, it was a tribute to Whitney Houston, as she said. But if you look at the stripes on the arms of her outfit, Whitney Houston's outfit did not have those stripes. Mm-hmm. And those stripes were actually the colors of the Pan-African flag. So for those of us who know what Pan-Africanism is, it's a social, economic, and political movement that encourages us to reconnect with our African identity, to raise our consciousness, and to develop ourselves as a collective African people, no matter where we are in this world. And so the Pan-African movement is one of the movements that I follow and participate in. I often refer to myself as a Pan-Africanist because I consider myself a part of the global African community. And that is one of the things that is missing from our African identity. And even that song that Coco Jones sang, Lift Every Voice and Sing, it is often referred to as the Black national anthem in the United States of America because it was written first as a poem by the NAACP leader of the time, James Weldon Johnson, in the 1900s. And at the time when it was written, he was saying that he was speaking about the African identity in a country that was built on the backs of enslaved people. And he wanted us to be, he wanted African Americans to be proud of their heritage as African people. So if you listen to that song, lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. He's talking about resistance of enslavement. He's talking about building our people from this horrible period in our history to become the resilient and the prominent members of society that African Americans have become. So even now, the NAACP, they adopted it as their anthem, and they used it during the civil rights movement of the 1950s and the 1960s. So for those of us who are Pan-Africanists, and even if you're not Pan-Africanist, you should be aware of the different moments in Black history across the world that help to connect us as a global African people. So I just wanted to point that out because I know that the Super Bowl is a moment in pop culture that young people pay attention to, but there is learning that you can gain from looking at these things as well if you know the context behind what is happening. And this just shows us that the global reparatory justice movement and the global consciousness of people of African descent and people of color is rising, because who would have thought that during the Super Bowl you would have Coco Jones singing Lift Every Voice and Sing, you would have Bad Bunny doing a performance in Spanish and bringing out the flags of St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, Guyana, St. Lucia, Antigua, and these different countries. So there we go.
I would like to continue by building on this resistance, reparations, and reparations right now is us continuing the work that was started by our ancestors. Because what we are doing is calling for a repair of what was done to our ancestors. They, in real time, resisted, right? So we are continuing that because their resistance was in asking for reparations. When our post-abolish, during slavery, post-abolition, the Needsmas uprising of 1896, the Buckley's uprising of 1935, the work of the Rastafarians, the Black Power movement, and so on. It is a continuation that continues. We have a role to play, and we are those of us who have been at the forefront. We would just like to bring a greater numbers of persons to become involved in this movement.
Correct.
Caller, you're on.
Yeah, caller, quickly. I just want to say, right, as your host mentioned the Super Bowl last night. Now, what was the date of last night? The 8th, right?
Yes.
Now, the 8th is symbolic to rebirth. Now, when we had the flood in the biblical book, 8 souls were saved from the flood in an ark. Now, the system as to why they chose the 8th to have the Super Bowl last night, they know what is at stake, guys. But again, we, the masses, are we just going along to get along? Because you see, they use symbolism on us and we don't even are aware.
Anyway.
The 8th last night is when they chose to host the Super Bowl, guys. But we are.
The Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is always held the first Sunday, I believe, in February. So whether it's the 8th,
Yes,
the
Carla.
4th,
The
or
point I'm
whatever,
making-
you know. So we don't want to get stuck. Let us stick to the reparations, our journey here. We only have about half an hour remaining. So,
Okay,
Elsie,
I'll
thank you.
continue to listen.
Thank you.
Yes. So the reference to the Super Bowl was just to point out the parts of it that apply to us and our Black consciousness and the reparatory justice movement, because I feel like as we go through our lives as African people, we have to find meaning in things. And as it pertains to advancing our cause, we can highlight those aspects of it. Me, on a regular day, you won't find me watching the Super Bowl, for example. I'm not big on pop culture. But where it comes to Black history and where it comes to African consciousness, where it comes to the consciousness of people who were victims of the most heinous crimes against humanity, then you will see me pointing out those key moments. Caller, you are live on WinFM. Thank you for calling.
Good morning again, Carlo, and the young lady. Miss Harrigan, you have to be a little more professional than that. This is a kitty individual abroad. Give him input all the time. You don't just disrespect him like that, okay? We gotta do better than that. Reparation is a must. You give other people minutes to call. Let him say thing. He abroad. He concerned. He concerned about St. Kitts Nevis. Have a good morning. No disrespect, eh? Poor people.
Thank you. Thank you, Manners. Thank you. Okay, so I think, that's the thing about live radio. Everybody's calling in. I think we gave the caller from the US quite a lot of time. Yes, he was touching on the SSE, which is very important, and we got his point. So as we continue on, there's so much. There's a lot that we want to cover. So LT, I think we need to talk about how we can have people interface
Correct.
with the committee, with the repair campaign before we close, because at this point we only have about half an hour remaining.
Okay, so just want to remind the persons over on Nevis that we are headed your way tomorrow, which is the 10th of February at 4:30 p.m. at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. We are having a conversation on reparations there. I will be there speaking on behalf of the repair campaign. Carla will speak on behalf of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee. Ras Iroy will also be speaking. He is the chair of the Organization for Rastafari in Unity, and he's also a member of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee based over on Nevis. And we will have Her Excellency Ambassador Neris Dockery, who is the Secretary General of the Local Commission for UNESCO. So for those who want to participate in that conversation, please register or indicate that you want to attend by calling or messaging 760-7807 so that we can be able to accommodate you. As well as during Black History Month, we will be having conversations within some of the schools in the Federation with the students. I know that during Black History Month, a lot of persons become more receptive to hearing about Black history and African history. And I would hope that this kind of consciousness would exist from all throughout the year, but we have to capitalize on it while it exists within Black History Month. So we're going to do that as well. Caller, you are live on WinFM. Thank you for calling.
Good day. Yes. I'm calling in, and my point is going to be contrary to what you're saying. I just tuned in, but based upon what you're saying, my point is going to be contrary. I am a Christian, and I believe in what the Bible says, and I think the idea of reparation to people who did not suffer directly, I think that goes against what the Bible teaches. Yes, reparation for people who suffered directly, people who was in slavery, but not for descendants. And the reason why I said that is because the Bible says the children ought not to pay for the crimes of their fathers, and the fathers ought not to pay for the crimes of their children. The only person who have that right to make it so is God, not man. As far as the man is concerned, everybody pay for their own crimes, and not children for the fathers and fathers for the children according to the Bible. Otherwise, then that everybody will be paying reparations to everybody, because slavery and all kind of evils have happened to everybody from the dawn of human history. So, and not only that, even if I was for the reparation, let's say I was for it, the way it is argued, I still couldn't support it in the form that it is being argued today. Because if I was for reparation, I would have been for it if you were arguing for a check to be paid to every single person and not just to institutions only. Okay, thank you.
Who said that the check was going to institution, that a check was going to institutions? Did someone say that? Okay. All right, everyone has their views, and as pertaining to the caller and his thought that if he was to look at reparations, he would want it is supposed to be paid directly. So that is something that has come up before, that we are not directly the ones who suffered enslavement, but we are the ones who suffer the effects of enslavement.
Legacies of enslavement.
So we continue to grapple in so many ways the things that were perpetuated upon us throughout slavery. You know, we are a displaced people. We are a people without our own language. We are a people without our own
names.
Yeah, our own names, yes. Yeah, thank
Just a
you.
minute. But I think also we have to explain to persons who may not be able to make the connection themselves about the legacies of enslavement that exist in present-day society. Colonialism and enslavement oriented our society to a plantation economy. the production of sugar in some cases, but other raw materials. Let us look at here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, where, as we said earlier, a lot of the land was oriented to sugar production. Our entire economy was so structured and so built to become a plantation economy and a sugar economy that when the sugar industry closed in 2005, the government had to take a loan to restructure the economy, the sugar industry diversification program, to retrain workers, for example, who were so used to working in the sugar plantations that they had not developed any other skills.
Right.
Also, they now had to figure out a way to diversify their economy that and they did not have a choice in the original orientation of their economy to being a sugar economy. This is something that was imposed on this society by colonial powers through the system of colonialism and enslavement. And so for those of us who are here in the Federation, for example, me, I'm an immigrant. And the reason why I'm an immigrant in this society is because when the government of St. Kitts and Nevis put out the call for persons to come and work on the sugar industry, my father was one of those persons. And so even the history of migration and the ethnic makeup of this society, what is rooted in enslavement and colonialism. I'll take a break because we have a caller. Caller, you are live on WinFM.
Yes, it's me again. Yes, as soon as I hanged up, before I hanged up, Carla asked a question. Now, the people who I'm hearing arguing for reparations, be it local, international, in America, and that sort of stuff, they have made it plain over and over again that they are not arguing for a check to go to everybody as individuals. Black persons I'm talking of, really. They're not arguing for a check to go to every single individual black person. They're arguing for the checks to go to schools, to government, and other colleges and other institutions.
Actually, I think the Evanston reparations was paid to families, if I recall correctly. So there are areas where people have been. I think the Jewish families will give the survivors of the Holocaust, the Jewish Holocaust, were paid, and so on. The Mau Mau people, there are quite a number of reparations precedents that show that people have been paid directly sums of money. CARICOM looks at a developmental plan for the region. So it's not for our people because we have a very unique makeup here in the region. It is not, yes, we are largely people of African descent, but we also have the descendants of the indigenous people. You have the descendants of those people who came as indentured servants. So whether it's Portuguese, whether it's Indian, Chinese, all of them. So how do we do it? Are we going to say we are only going when, even though, let me just finish the point here. Sometimes I trip over myself. Are we just going to give to people of African heritage when so many different persons make up the society and depend on the society?
And experience harm as a result of the system of colonialism as well.
We can't say we're going to hand out checks. As a matter of fact, I will share with you that there's been talk within CARICOM as to should the descendants of, say, the Indians in Guyana and Trinidad and so on be involved in the reparations movement. Dr. Beckles, Sir Hilary Beckles, has been very clear that it is, we can't cut it up. You understand? Yes, they would have gotten some strides as well because they were paid after their period of apprenticeship, of indentureship, right? But still, many live in these societies. It's not everyone who benefited at the same level. As a matter of, so that takes us, I'll leave that to Elsie because she knows more of Guyanese culture. We see the Indians, and a lot of the Indians who came, just like they are coming here now, came from India. They may not have been part of that indentureship. So it's, of that indentureship program. So the point I'm making is, it is not only Africans who were affected. We are largely African, but we are societies now. We are multicultural societies. And so the development has to take place in all these different areas, in all these different countries, to raise all of us. Okay?
Yeah, but Carla, Mr. Stefan, let me say this, okay? Yes, Japanese and some were given reparations, but it was those who suffered, okay? Not their children. But even then, every time those who are arguing for reparations, I'm talking about for black people because of slavery, okay? Whenever they ask, well, how the reparations supposed to be dispersed, and they always say, not to individuals. We're not arguing for individuals to get cash out checks. We are arguing for the reparations to go to the black institutions, like I said, governments, universities, that sort of stuff.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gill. Let's give someone else a chance on the call.
But can I say this quickly, though? Let me say this quickly. The FBA's Foundation of Black Americans, they're saying reparations should only go to black Americans whose families in America was slavery, and all other blacks who came to America, they ain't supposed to get reparations from America. Only Americans whose family goes back to slavery in America. Are you all saying the same thing for the Caribbean as well?
Caller, I just explained. I don't know if you were listening, but thank you for your call. We'll answer that. Thank you.
So for us here in the region, we look at the direct impacts of colonialism and enslavement, as well as the legacies of enslavement that are remaining in our society today. So peoples who have been historically disenfranchised and people who are still disenfranchised today because of the systems or the legacies that exist within our society as a result of enslavement. So I just spoke about the orientation of our economy to a primary producer level or a sugar plantation because of the legacies of colonialism. And we know also that within our societies today, a lot of people of African descent or African people in general have been restricted from accessing certain things as a result of the colonial systems that still exist within our society, or the barriers that have been brought about by those colonial systems. Carla mentioned Guyana. Guyana is one of those societies that is deeply polarized along ethnic lines. And so in the case of Guyana, you will find that African Guyanese exist more or less at the bottom of the economic ladder in Guyana, and the other races at the top. And so, and the indigenous people, as in indigenous, also called Amerindians, the Waiwais, the Makushis.
Locanos.
Well, we don't have those. We have our own indigenous groups here in... Oh, Loconos, you said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes, Loconos, yes.
Yeah.
In our society, they exist at the bottom of the economic ladder as well. So when we talk about reparations, we talk about repairing the damage of colonialism and bringing those persons to a position where they can participate actively within the society at a fair or equitable level within that society. We have a caller. Caller, you are live on Voices.
Yes, Carlo and the lady, I will like you all to invite Hillary Beckers down in the region, in the islands, for a few meetings. Only Hillary could get it done for we around here. Dealing with you, getting to the head. So, going forward, I will love you all to invite Hillary Beckers, the chair, to come to these islands and talk with
He has come to this. He has been here.
Because we will fight like hell for what Julie belongs to us. Do not go down the road with the last Carlo. He don't defend these things, eh?
Okay. So just
Thank you,
recently,
caller.
thank you. Just recently, Hillary Beckles was part of the delegation that went to the UK. They held engagements with the media, with parliamentarians in the UK to forward the call for reparations. So he is the chair of the CARICOM Reparations Committee, and he was the lead, along with other persons in the other executives who are actually chairs of national reparations committees. They went to England to advance that call for reparations. Okay, so he says in his book, Britain's Black Debt, it is the recognized that a case, let me put it this way, a case for reparations is the recognized is necessary. So in it, let me quote him. It is the recognized institution that legally and financially implemented and sustained the crimes against humanity. I think I spoke about that before. So when they go to England, they are looking at the state. So he continues that Caribbean governments have a historic duty and a legal and moral responsibility to place the case for reparations before the British government. So they have been doing the work for how many years now since the formation of the CRC?
2013.
I think 2013. So over 10 years. Over 10 years now. We have been in the process of taking a second look. They have done that over the past year or two, where we've been looking at the 10-point plan and making it a lot more inclusive and, expanding on it. It has not been published as yet. So that I'm hoping that will be one of the things on the heads of government meeting that's coming up. I understand that reparations is on the agenda. So we are really looking forward to, having a serious our heads of governments within CARICOM, having a serious discussion on reparations at this heads of government meeting, which is going to be held here in St. Kitts and Nevis from the 24th to the
21st.
The 24th to the 27th of February. And as you all know, our Prime Minister, Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, is the chair of CARICOM as of the 1st of January to the 30th of June. So for the first 6 months of the year, he chairs CARICOM. This meeting is coming here. And we are looking, I know there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot affecting the Caribbean. But reparations is something that we cannot keep putting on the back burner. Our good friend Ras Eli said, we cannot keep pussyfooting around the issue of reparations.
I want to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really have faith in the justice system of those who oppressed us in really metering out justice? When you look at the history, the Crown played a big part in it. Even the name of the organization, the business. So I'm just asking a question. How do you?
Well, there are lawyers. The Lady firm, the law firm in England, negotiated for reparations for the Mau Mau of Kenya and was successful. I met with Miss Mackenzie when I was in London in June, attending the repair campaign series of meetings with parliamentarians in the UK and persons from different houses, media houses, the lawyers. I met with a member of the Trevelyan family as well, schools and so on. So it is the building of a case, and this is why Dr. Burt Samuels in Jamaica and other legal luminaries are building a case against England. We have to build a case that we can, when someone commits a crime, they may have committed a crime, but they go in there, their lawyer will go in there and defend to get them out, right? So we have to go in there and state our case and get them to see that this is necessary, right? That this is a must, like someone said. So it can happen. So for me to have thoughts as to whether or not I can trust the legal system works in many different ways and has worked. So it will continue to work. It will continue to work.
Yes,
right?
and I believe it's less about having faith in their legal system and more about us taking the initiative
We
to
have
do
to take
our
the initiative.
work, right? To advocate, to do the research, to put together a strong case, but also to have our societies united on the position that reparations is necessary, because some of these matters get played out in court, but some also get played out in the court of public opinion. And it is the court of public opinion that's bringing families and institutions to the region to make their apologies and to make reparations without a legal case even being filed against them.
As a matter of fact, they recognize that is something that is part of, they have a moral. I think one of the writers that I was it Alex Renton, he spoke about his own family, so you as you learn about it, you feel a moral responsibility. These institutions have to feel a moral responsibility once their name get out there, because Laura Trevelyan did not know that her family was involved. It is the putting out of the UCL database, the University College of London, after they created this database of and noted all of the persons. I mean, I have spent hours and hours and hours, and I've said that here on this program before, where you see the names. I've researched my own family name. So you can go in there and punch in and see the names of persons who were compensated. And so her family just went online, put in the name, and boop, Grenada, 1,006 enslaved persons, the amount of money they received, right? I have here at hand, I mentioned it at the Buckley's Uprising, Abednego Matthew. You punch in his name, you will see how many enslaved persons were on Buckley's estate at the time of abolition. Benjamin Buck Green, who owned 2 estates, was compensated for that. James William Freshfield, he was a trustee and an awardee. Alexander Barron of the Barron Bank. So the Freshfields law firm still exists today. The Barron's Bank was recently taken over. The Pinneys from Bristol. Charles Pinney is still, got, I think, one of the largest compensations, okay? And so many names, there's so many other names. You're talking women, you're talking men, you're talking absentee planters, you're talking resident planters, and so on. If you owned one enslaved person, you were paid. If you owned hundreds, so everyone was compensated. We were never compensated, and so we are looking for that, and the way in which we look for that is to see how it can help fully help to develop us. And so we need to put it on the agenda. It's important that it goes on the agenda. One of the things that the UK is counting on is that successive generations will forget.
We'll let it go. We'll let it slide. We'll move on.
So we have a responsibility. If it doesn't happen in my lifetime, it might happen before Elsie passes on, before my daughter passes on. Somehow along the way, we have to keep this ball. We have to keep this energy going.
When I was 6 years old, for example, I could not have imagined that there would be families coming to Guyana, for example, the Gladstones. Same thing when the University College of London put out that list, they saw their name on the list and realized that their families had been the beneficiaries of enslavement, and they made it their responsibility to come to Guyana. I was there at that ceremony that was held in Buxton at one of the churches in the community. And this brings me back to the point that I think a caller made earlier about Christianity saying that it is being used to enslave. But Christianity was used by the colonizers to enslave, but Christianity was also used as an act of resistance. And in today's society, the church has a role to play in using Christianity as an act of resistance and in support of reparatory justice. Because even on Sunday, my pastor invited me to make a presentation to the congregation within our church. I go to a New Testament church about reparations and the work that I'm doing in reparations. And after that presentation, persons from my congregation came up to me and said, I'm interested in this movement. How can I support? And my pastor stood up and said, he is very proud to be an African person and he supports the reparatory justice movement too. And we see, and you spoke about it on Saturday, Carla, where enslaved persons spoke to their faith that helped them to stay alive during the period of enslavement and led them out of enslavement into freedom as well.
I believe that we should be given reparations. I mean, knowing my history,
yes.
But I asked that question because I want it to be cemented in the minds of the people who are seeking reparations that this is a serious business.
Yes.
It is, and knowledge is power. For those people who are willing to seek the knowledge is available that draws the direct link between colonialism and enslavement and some of the issues that we face in our society today. And that creates the precedence for why reparations is necessary to repair the harm that was caused. So we have 5 minutes remaining on the program.
I think what I will do in this 1 minute is bring up a topic on that we need repair on, and that is because I wrote a paper on our sexuality as a legacy of slavery. And I'm looking at our families. You have the violence that perpetuated upon women, the abuses of children, the way in which we move in our spheres. I quoted, there are people, we have to, I go back to the point of who we were had slavery not happened. So, for instance, today in our societies, and I will take a lot of flack for that, but we have a lot of, say, in our carnivals, a lot of exposure, today. And we believe that that is part of our culture. We say, people were naked in Africa, okay? But to me, what we are instead doing is what we have been taught through slavery, where women were seen as they were fetishized. They were fetishized, or however the pronunciation is. We were touched. We were put on blocks and all of that. And when I see some of the behaviors that we exhibit today, if we knew, and I'm saying if we knew, because I was a young girl and I would have done my own share of nonsense, but I'm saying had I known what I know now, where people like Thistlewood would have, in Jamaica, had sex with nearly every woman, dealt with so many, raped so many young girls. And this we see up to today. We hear about girls being molested, boys being molested. I mean, these are things that came down, the way in which there was one person I read on, one planter here in St. Kitts, Robert Cunningham, who put his women...
Cunningham Estate in Keon.
Yes, Cunningham Estate in Keon. He owned, he married the woman for Spooner's estate, right? And that is where, it's all connected. But he would make sure one strong man had how many women, We see that women, as a matter of fact, I came across an article where women were the ones, they owned them, they could sleep around. They didn't care to have children. When we think about, don't think that Christianity was like, we had to behave a certain way. They only started dealing with Christianity after the slave trade was abolished, because they wanted us to start to get married. They did not care about us getting married before. They did not care about our young people having children. Okay, because it was easier
they
to
didn't
buy
care about families.
Right, they did not care about family structure, so we were left. We encouraged, because all they wanted were the people to work. So they put different people together to get the language, a common language, The Akan could not understand the other one. We were manipulated in so many different ways, and those are the sort of legacies that we need to repair.
Correct. And I just want to use my 1 minute to say our history as African people did not begin with enslavement, and enslavement and colonialism is not the and-all and be-all of our history. Enslavement and colonialism interrupted African history, interrupted the trajectory of African societies from which we were extracted. And one historian said to me, if African history was a 1,000-page book, enslavement would be 1 page. So while we advocate for reparations, let us make a conscious effort to return to the groundings that we got at our source in our African societies. Let us return to our identity. Let us have a Sankofa. You can look up that word, Sankofa, for those persons who do not know it. And also, let us advocate for reparations, knowing that our ancestors were the victims of the most heinous crime against humanity that still has lingering effects in today's societies, like the ones that Carla just described, among many others that we would need an entire, I don't know how long, maybe an entire year to discuss. So we will continue to do educational programs like these, but also you can contact us, you can connect with us for those who want to participate in the public education campaign that is being launched by the Repair Campaign in collaboration with the St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee. Call us on 760-7807. Please come out Nevis tomorrow, Tuesday, 10th February at Malcolm Gishard Recreational Center for a conversation on reparations there. The one in St. Kitts happened this Saturday already, but we will have many more. So thank you very much for joining us today on Voices. I'm Elsie Harry, community organizer with the Repair Campaign, and Carla Astefan, St. Kitts and Nevis National Reparations Committee. Thank you again to our sponsors, TDC, SL Hosfords, and Dreamy Florals. This is
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Build strong, grow together. Let Hosfords Building and Nevis Centers lead the way. From tools to materials, we've got it every day. Hosfords Building and Nevis Centers, a name you can trust. For every dream project, don't go and build with us. Dream with us, grow with us, build with us today. Hosfords is the partner that helps you pave the way.
When is the last time that you've had lunch or dinner away from home? The ambience of Sweet Cane on Port Zante provides you with that touch. Sweet Cane daily specials include burgers, wraps, soup, and tasty seafood dishes. Sweet Cane also caters for events and special parties. Call our Sweet Cane hotline at 465-4345 or 665-76